Oh, good morning. I guess it's on to part 2. So it's time for part 2 of the last episode, installing the penultimate batch of panels. So that's the main panels for the fridge freezer unit, getting those shelves installed in the head/bathroom cabinet, and also finishing off that nav table with a couple of little panels there, which really neaten and finish that up. And just to say thanks for all of your comments. I do enjoy reading them and I learn things along the way. Please give me a like, please subscribe if you haven't already, and I do look forward to reading your comments from this episode. Look at that for fridge freezer space. Woo! We'll have a look at that for a spacious fridge freezer unit. Now that it's materialised and in place, well, the main parts, that is definitely what I wanted, what I had in mind. And as I say, now that it's there and I can see it, yeah, that's great. I just didn't want a pokey kind of difficult to access fridge freezer unit in Mistress. This is in a good space, full head height. Once that cabin sole panel is in place, you'll be able to stand there and just have uncluttered access. That's what I wanted. This has just been the dry fit, so this panel will be coming off. I've got to secure that bottom panel in place. I've also got to put in the other insulation against the hull there, and there's that electrical conduit to come up and supply power for this whole port aft quarter as well as the galley. So there's just a couple of small things to do, as well as fit just a little block which I'm going to secure underneath this forward end of that floor panel. That's just getting the second coat of epoxy at the moment. I've yet got to make all that fridge freezer unit, so I don't want to secure this panel in place. And as I've mentioned before, that is not a priority before we leave the yard here. So the short-term fix is going to be, I'm just going to buy a relatively inexpensive porta fridge freezer unit, one of those dual ones, probably about 60-65 litres, which will sit in there. Well, it'll be quite small in there, but that'll get me out of trouble and allow me to continue with the plans that I've got. I don't want this to hold me up in terms of leaving the yard here, so that I can continue on with other jobs and not have that hold me up. Well, that's a wrap. That last penultimate batch of panels that I made up, top coated, etc. 4 main areas, done. Woo! And as you've just seen, I've installed these two shelves, which I think are kind of not just your average shelves, let's put it that way. So they're done, but I'm not going to hang the doors yet. They were completed with the top coating and fitting hinges along with these last batch. But the reason I'm not going to hang them just yet is because I need to get all of that plumbing installed. And so those doors would just kind of be in the way a little bit. So much easier just to leave those off. They can be easily fitted later. I'm really pleased about this because now what this means is I've only got one more area, the V-berth, where I need to make lockers on the starboard and port sides, which means that's actually the final bit of furniture that I need to make up and fit. But let's not get ahead of myself. There are a lot of little things to do, but on reflection, I'm pretty pleased with the way things have come up. Well, this has come up well. Definitely happy with it. It's a nice big space, plenty enough to open up pretty much a full chart. There's 900 millimeters, around about 3 foot. Obviously, all of that storage underneath as well. There's just a couple of little things to do here. I want to put a bracket underneath this corner just to give that support over time. And then of course, all of the fiddles need to go on here. And this leaf top, of course, complete with a bit of a raised edge in order to stop things from rolling off. And I'll make that out of some lovely rosewood. This is pretty much done. Certainly all the main things. Now just a bit of trim around everything, which I'll do ahead. Otherwise, this is pretty much ticked off. So as mentioned earlier, I'm not going to continue to complete this fridge freezer whilst we're here in this yard. In the short term, I'm just going to get myself one of those portable fridge freezers which can sit there in place and at least give me some cold storage for my food. But basically that means this is a wrap. There is the electrical, the gas plumbing and its wiring, which I can continue with at any time and do plan to. That's another thing ticked off the list. Because I'll be coming back to make this fridge freezer unit, which is going to be pretty involved, I must admit, what I have done is this front panel and the bottom there, I haven't used adhesive to fix them in place sort of permanently. There's obviously a good chance that being able to remove these in order to make that whole unit up is a very good idea. One thing that I will be doing though, I haven't made up that lining panel for the back there. So I can make that up. It's a fairly straightforward panel. So once I start making up those panels for the V-berth, that can be done as well. It does feel like good momentum, everybody. Onward and upward. Hey, please give me a like to help me out. It's a very easy thing to do. Subscribe if you haven't, which will really help me in my efforts to grow this channel. Please check out my website also, where you can find some merchandise, again, to help support this channel. Leave a comment, because as I always say, I like reading what you have to say.